Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a new video. This video is going to be about some old gaming source codes, particularly from the Mirage Source generation. We're going to be going back in time to about 2000, 2001. I'm just going to check out some of these source codes. We're going to start off from the OG Mirage 3.0.3, and then we'll move our way up through some major releases and just check them out. So I'm running Windows 11 right now, and Visual Basic 6 runs perfectly fine on this operating system. So let's check out our first one. So this is going to be the client. We'll go through some source code, have a look at how it used to be done back in the day, and then we'll maybe run it to see if we can play. So this is not a lot changed from 3.0.3. The way the source code was kind of organized. You had one folder for forms and one folder for modules, and that was pretty much it. There was a lot of forms, and a lot of the engines that came from Mirage Source kind of went with the same system as well, where they kind of had just tons and tons of forms. I think the yeah, so even the menu itself, we've got like the same form for a bunch of different things. I'll have a look at the credits here. So Consti, aka Chris Kremer, if I'm saying that right. Sorry if I'm not Consti. Consti's still with us today in the Mirage Source Discord. He's running his game Mirage Online Classic. Let's check that out real quick. So his game runs in the browser now, but it's if you're familiar with the old Mirage Source, then you know this will be quite familiar to you. The interface. I mean, this dragon here. I mean, this dates back. Let's have a look at the game. If I can find it. It's been a long time. Here we go. I don't know if it's in this one. Let's see. There. Well, I suppose it's similar. But yeah, that's the old dragon right there. I'd say that's fairly similar. So it's cool that he's kind of stuck to his roots, you know, and gone with this very familiar game which people back in the day can familiarize with. But yeah, it's kind of cool. I'm not going to log in. There's some screenshots on here. It's mirageonlineclassic.com. We won't go into that. We're here for the source codes today. And I can't. Okay. I can't undo it. Good old Visual Basic. Alright, so yeah, let's just go through some of the source code here. So this is like, you know, this is how it was back in the day. You had these characters here, Sepchar and Enchar for sending the packets. Yeah, it's you know, it's really old stuff. You can see here. It's so difficult to go through here. Yes, you can see here, like, they're sending strings, like raw strings, to and from the client, which wouldn't be a problem today because of the internet speeds and everything, but back then, you know, people were on really old internet. Some people were still even on dial-up back in like 2000, 2001, so you know, sending raw strings. These were big packets for those small connections. But yeah, I mean, even, you know, looking back at the code, it's really well organized. Very easy to read. There's comments and stuff, and this is the OG. This is 3.0.3 as well. So, you know, even looking back now, it's, you know, this coding is really well done. Let's just check out the the server code. Unfortunately, VB6 on Windows 11 and some previous versions of Windows, you can't scroll with the mouse wheel. You cannot get add-ons, which you can install and it'll allow you to do it, but I don't have it, so we'll just use the scroll bar today. But yeah, let's, you know, take a look at some of this stuff here. Like, I think Consti on VB6 does support basic object-oriented programming, but for the most part, you know, it's procedural, and I kind of like that style of programming, even though I am now getting into OOP. But, you know, and the way Consti programmed it as well, it's just, I don't know, there's just something about it. It's so readable. It's just, you know, easy to follow. You can run through the code and you know what everything's doing. Let's see if we can run it though. Look at these timers. Wow. So timers, the control in Visual Basic 6. So you can see here, game AI. Wow. That's a term we didn't hear a lot back then. Spawn map items. What else we got? Player save function as well. So these timers weren't very accurate. They were very slow. So a lot of people eventually got rid of these controls and started using get tick count, which was a lot more accurate and, you know, just better in general. But yeah, let's run the server, see if we can connect to this. I'm about to change the IP on the client side. I gotta keep moving everything over to the other screen now. There we go. See how slow it loads as well. If we look over here, everything's pretty much in the same file, and everything's flat file as well. So everything's in ini files. So that's how everything's written. Like, people might still use flat files, but they probably use JSON files or something like that, or even SQLite. Yeah, now the server's loaded, and here we are. Not much going on here. Let's see if we can run the client. Oh, I might have to change the IP. I forgot about that. Yeah, let's check the IP first. There we go. Change that to localhost. And see if we can log into the game. We'll probably have to create an account. I'm clicking through the menu and it's loading the screen loading the window on my other screen. That's really annoying. I'm gonna have to do it again. I knew it. Alright, let's see. Are we getting anything on the server? Oh, it might be. Your account has been... Wow, that's so slow. So slow. You'd think it'd be faster because, like, obviously the modern hardware. But no, the way it's coded, it's just really inefficient. Well, let's see if we can log in. If this works, I'll be surprised. It's the first time I've opened it. This is the original code as well. I don't think it's been messed with. There we go. We're able to log in or make a new character. Plenty of classes to choose from. I wonder if the maps and stuff are still still on here, because the original Mirage Source came with some maps, which was actually a game that Consti was working on. It was like a Final Fantasy style game. We can see that we've connected there. It will take some time. Very, very slow. So it's connected. Wow, okay. Oh, okay. I didn't even log in. I was just creating the character. Alright, so let's see if we can get in. Alright. So yeah, I don't... Ah, okay, so I may have to run the client. I may have to compile it first, because I think DirectX 7, running it from the IDE, there's an issue with that. Let's see if we can compile it. That'd be a good test. I mean, it ran, so we may just have to load the exe from the folder. Nope. I have lots of source codes here. Some of these are going to be going to go through some of these. Okay, so I think it's compiled. Do we have any exe? Maybe I should sort by type, that would be easier. There we go. Alright, now we gotta do all that again. That's interesting. Okay, I can see the I can see it on my other screen. Yeah, it's fine. Okay, yeah, used character. All right. Okay. So it doesn't look like there's any old mapping. Wow, look at how janky that is. Isn't that amazing? You can run as well. We have the inventory here. Blimey. This is some old stuff. I think you have to go into the account file to make an admin, but yeah, you get the gist of it. I can maybe show... I do actually have an earlier version of this source code, which many people have not seen and do not have, and it's one that Consti gave me to have a look at. In fact, I have two versions of Mirage Source which predate the OG 3.0.3 source code. I may have them on here. Let's take a look. Consti Mirage. That's gotta be, I mean, that's gonna be something. Ah, okay, so we got the 3.0.3, the 3.0.7, which we'll go over in a minute, and Mirage Online and Final Fantasy. I think Final Fantasy Online was the original, like the very first. We've got a couple of EXEs, so we won't look at the source code. I think the source code itself is probably more of the same, because Mirage Source was based on it. So if anything, there's probably going to be a little bit less source code, but it's going to be more of the same. So let's take a look. Final Fantasy Online. You know, when you look at this and you know, this is from like 1999, 2000. You know, this is 24-year-old source code. You know, and it still runs great. I don't know if there's any accounts. Let's take a look. This is like typical old school Mirage stuff where everything is in the same folder. So I have no idea. It could be, that could be a database maybe? Oh no, players.dat. Let's open this, see if we can find a username and password. I think there is one. Because I have logged into it before. Okay, const Lucas, consty Lucas. Alright, we'll give that a try. See what happens. I think maybe maybe it's the IP that we would have to. Let's try Consty Lucas. No, okay. I'm still determined to get this to work though, because I really want to show you guys. You know, this is some history right here. That's for sure. Maybe we'll take a quick look at the client source while we're in here. May as well, hey. But from what I remember, it's more or less the same, because this is what Mirage Source was based on. As you can see here, we have the usual forms and stuff. Though we only have one menu this time, which is good. But yeah, I mean, this is, you know, there's a lot less than what is in the in Mirage Source, but like I said, this was the beginning of Mirage Source. So let's just see if we can find an IP address somewhere. Maybe it's in packets. Maybe not. Maybe in here? Oh, I think I know. Okay. So I think, yeah. Although sometimes it's in here. What's this called? TCP client. Okay, so if we search for TCP client, we can probably find where they're hiding the IP. It didn't look like there was an external file for it. Oh, okay. So it's already localhost. Port 4000. Well, let's see if we can compile it. Maybe that's what's different. Maybe I ran it in the IDE last time and changed the IP there. Who knows? Let's just check that the server's running on. Okay, it doesn't tell me what port it's running on. We'll give it a crack anyway. If it don't work, it don't work. I'm sure I'm typing the password right. Oh, there we go. We found it. Awesome. That was it then. It must have been the IP. Oh wow, check this out. And from what I understand, like, there's a lot of maps on this. I don't think there was much in terms of content. I don't think I can mute the music. Yeah, I don't think I can mute the music. Hey, it's Consty's wife. Here we go. Where are we going? Below the well. You know, that's really interesting because I'll tell you why in a second once this music shuts up. But yeah, below the well is an area in Mirage Online Classic, which I think I still hold the high score for. Let me just check that real quick. This is like completely irrelevant, but I just want to check it. Come on. This is my computer's running slow. I think it needs it's due a restart for an update. But we will persevere. But yeah, down the well is an area in Mirage Online Classic. Oh, somebody just got ahead of me. Wow, how did they manage that? Well, there you go. Alright, cool. So after Final Fantasy Online, then came Mirage Online, which is probably closer to the Mirage Source than Final Fantasy Online, because Mirage Source was never intended to be a game engine. It was never intended to be open source. This was just a game that Consti was developing, and he sold it, and things happened, but we're not going to go into that here. So yeah, so when you look at so this is a lot more familiar going through this. So is it compiled already? It is, but we'll compile it again just to be sure. So this is before the Mirage Source was released to the public. This was the game. So even this is way before then. And I don't know how many people have this. I may be the only one other than Consti. But it's good. I like to keep it because the Mirage Source community was a big part of my life. I know it was a big part of other people's lives. I think a lot of people who started on Mirage Source have gone into software development and professional game development, and this is all history to that. So here we go. This is a little bit familiar now, isn't it? I don't think there's any accounts unless I made one last time. Let's just take a quick look. Accounts. Oh yeah, I do have one. So let's see if we can log in. See, for some reason that loads a lot faster. Okay, cool. So this is interesting too, because Mirage Online Classic definitely takes cues from the original game. You can tell. I know some of the wow, would you really walk there when I'm trying to get out? This kind of looks like one of the maps in Mirage Online Classic as well. Is this guy gonna move or what? Get out my way, dude. I want to get out. Can I get past him? Damn you. Don't go that way. Don't go that way. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I got the music again. But yeah, this is there's a lot of maps on here too. But yeah, we'll just close that for now. So that's it's more or less the same as Mirage Source. This is pretty much what Mirage Source was. May have had a few tweaks since the game was sold, and between that time and Mirage Source being released as a source code, it was probably updated a little bit. But this is as close as it gets, really. So yeah, that's a little piece of history there. A couple of old source codes there, you know, predating Mirage Source 3.0.3. So yeah, really interesting stuff. So 3.0.7, as you can see there, we've got an SQL file. This was basically the same source code as 3.0.3, just with an SQL database instead of the flat files. Now, when I added SQL support to Mirage Mode, which was based on a later version of, it's not going to let me run this, but we'll look at the source code. A later version of Mirage Source, I actually referenced this code in here for the database code, and I had to do a little bit of work to make it, you know, better, and securing it as well, because there's no there is zero security in this SQL code. So yeah, as you can see there is zero security. If you're familiar with SQL coding, you may as well just you know. But yeah, so 3.0.7, not a lot of people use this. I think more so because back then in the early 2000s, not a lot of people had the ability to host an SQL database on their computers, or VPSs and database hosting wasn't as acceptable or affordable back then, especially for, you know, people like me. I think I was about 14 at the time. So the flat file system was the way to go. So from 3.0.3, people were making games, and we also had player worlds. I'm not going to go into the history of player worlds, but this was massive. On RPG used to have a dedicated section for player worlds games before they became very corporate and only supported commercial games from large gaming companies. But yeah, player worlds, you know, based on MS 3.0.3. Plenty of source code leaks back in the day. I don't know who managed to get this source code and release it, but we have it, and we can take a quick look through it and see what's different. It looks like from the comments that this version in particular was based on a later version of Mirage Source. I can tell from the comments, because there wasn't an update. This may even be MSE 1, possibly. And this is 2005, so yeah, this is a later one. I wonder if that's 1.0.3. That's 1.4.2. I don't know exactly what the difference is going to be. But yeah, this is definitely not an original player world source code. This is definitely from several years later. But And we'll have a look at MSC 1 shortly, but wow. Okay, somebody was definitely using this to make a game, because that is not the Player Worlds interface at all. I don't think I have a copy of the OG Player Worlds. Just take a quick look in here, actually. This may be some unmolested source code. Or it may not be source code at all. No, it's not. It's compiled. Never mind. That's cool. I think anybody who's watching the video up to this point is probably here because they are familiar with Mirage Source, and they probably know enough about Player Worlds to not need a tour of it. So next we'll go on to MRPGE, which was actually my my source code. I worked with it with a guy called Moonripper, obviously not his real name, but Moonripper was a former Night Mist player, and he was making a game called Deity Online in VB6, and he was helping me put some stuff in. He did I did the encryption modules, the pets. He pretty much did most of it, because back then I had no idea what I was doing with code. I'm going to open this, but it does not run. I know that off the bat. It does not run. So MRPGE was it was obviously started off as a game. Back then, not many people were releasing full source codes. They kind of kept their updates to themselves, and they were just making games, which is fine. But I released this source code. We were done with it. It was kind of broken. There was a lot of features in it, which we'll take a look at in a second. But yeah, it wasn't going anywhere, and we thought, instead of just wasting all this time and effort, we will allow somebody to, or everyone to use it who wanted to learn from it, or try and fix it up and make their own game with it, because, oh god, there's some timers again. Because there was a lot done to it, and there was some impressive things. So we had blowfish encryption, which was kind of cool. I don't think anyone had encryption at that point. There's a lot of encryption up there. We had an auto updater, which is also never been seen before. I think the database remained the same. We still used ini files. There was certainly a lot more features. We had a guild system, we had pets, we had quests, we had NPC chat. Where's the graphics? Oh, this is the server, that's why. I don't think it'll work. Let me try and run it. It's probably it'll probably fall apart very quickly. We'll see. I know that the server may run, but I know the client was just. But yeah, we'll go over that. So yeah, so we had MP3 as well. Most people were still using MIDI, and I don't blame them, because MP3 files were a couple of megabytes each, and you know, people were still on 80 gigabyte hard drives, if not less. So yeah, so we were still using DirectX 7, but Moonripper, for the life of me, I can't remember his actual real name, but he managed to do some sort of weird thing with the alpha blending. So we had a day and night feature. So with the alpha blending, you basically put a layer on top of the game screen, and then you blend it, or you remove some of the opacity to have the you know, like the game graphics underneath show through, so it looked like nighttime. But yeah, so we had day and night. Yeah, we did some significantly unique things with this game engine, not necessarily unique to 2D games in general, but in regards to Mirage Source, you know, we were pioneers. Sadly, because the engine was so broken by the time it came to release the source code, that's my handiwork. That's the worst graphical user interface I've ever seen, and I made it. But yeah, you know, we were doing stuff that people hadn't even thought about doing, and in a way, I think inspired this whole generation of engines that people were about to release. So yeah, so we had a lot. I mean, when you look back at the original Mirage Source and you look at the item editor, there's barely anything on it, and we were adding you know, we had poison, item descriptions. You know, it was crazy what we were doing with this source code. We had an item library, so you could look up items. Where are we? I don't want to show the main game yet. This is all map property stuff. But yeah, we had, so each map could have its own day and night. I don't think the original Mirage Source had the bank system, but we had it. So we had the extended statistics. So the original Mirage Source only came with strength, defense, magic, and possibly speed. So we had a full Dungeons and Dragons style stat system. So yeah, we were doing some crazy stuff. We had the quests as well, kind of a very basic quest system, but it worked really well. We had signs. The spell editor was pretty much standard. And the updater, which was built into the client itself, which you know, was something that people hadn't done before. But let's have a look at the main game. So this these was kind of stolen from Realms of Chaos, and I kind of modified it to fit with the theme. But yeah, this we were doing some crazy things here. I'll try to run it, but I don't think it's gonna work. There we go. Yeah, so I don't have the library for that, and I'm not gonna go and download it. But let's just take a quick look through the source code. So this is format. So yeah, so this is the update. So yeah, it just did an update, I guess. So we've seen all this. I don't think we did anything with the packets. I think the packet system was more or less the same. Probably. It kind of looks like it, doesn't it? I think so. I think it was pretty much the same. Yeah. So that was MRPGE, that the very first open source engine from Mirage Source, and then what followed after that was Confuse. Okay, so we'll go over to Milestones. I think Milestone was probably the most, or one of the most popular. There were so many different versions of this source code. Honestly, it's unreal. I think there was debugged, Milestone, Greentail, although I think Greentail was eventually its own engine. There was several spin-offs, but we're just going to stick with the popular ones, or the major ones that people, you know, actually used. There could be a lot different with this source code as well, although probably not too much. I think the basic premise of what we saw prior to this is what we would expect from this version. But yeah, this definitely seems to be the version. Let's just have a quick look, because I know the user interface was different. There we go. This is the UI that everybody should recognize if they used Confused back in the day. This was everywhere. But like that map editor was, they added some cool stuff. So we've got a lot more attributes here. Arenas, which don't kill your XP if you die fighting another player. Sprite change. Doors were cool. And you could the key open. Lots of cool stuff. Let's have a look at the map properties real quick. See, they were the first ones to start adding these tabs as well, which made a lot of sense when you think about it, because you don't want like a massive form with everything on it. You know, and at this point, people who were making engines with Mirage Source, you know, especially if they were starting with this engine, they started adding a lot of stuff. You can see there how they have all these map NPCs, which is exactly what MRPG did. So I think there's quite a few things on here which took inspiration from my engine. They just did it better, quite frankly. I think they were a lot more experienced using Mirage Source and a lot more experienced programming VB6, and they did some really good stuff. Private messages. That was cool. So we still had the basic class creation. I don't think there was much different in regards to the player stats. I think a lot of that stuff was still the same, but you can see here we have the guild system, and they were the first one to add flash videos into VB6. I very much doubt that I have this library here, so this may not work. But yeah, they started flash videos, which was kind of cool, I guess, at the time. Okay, so we've got the server running. Let's take a look. And there it is. Still no options menu just yet. We'll just set the IP just in case. What's the port? 4000. There's probably no accounts. And then we still have that stupid menu. Is it going to work? It says connected. There we go, yep. Cool. So now we can log into our account. So we still kind of have that. Again, not much has changed. Not much has changed from the original Mirage Source. It just kind of looks better. You know, like they've dressed it up. I mean, don't get me wrong, there are a lot of cool new features. But you know, we still have strength, defense, and speed. There's nothing significant changed about, you know, the player itself. That's pretty much the same basic stuff we had in Mirage Source. So let's take a look here. There's probably no default map. Alright, I've done it again, didn't I? I ran it in the IDE. I actually think I know how to get rid of that box. Give me 1 second. We'll just compile this and then we'll run it as a... We'll run the exe. Starting to take a long time to compile now. With all this new stuff. So we'll get rid of that. I think if we get rid of that, that box might disappear. Yes! Yes, it does. Alright, cool. Alright, so let's run the client. Hopefully I compiled it into the right folder this time. There we go. See that now we've got here, they're a bit more organized with the folder structure, whereas before with Mirage Source most things were in the main folder, and I think in later versions they started to move all of the source code into its own folder as well, so that the root directory, the root directory was a bit neater and less messy, which is nice. Now we can log in. Okay, so there's no mapping, but I think there's tile sets and stuff included, so we'll just make ourselves admin real quick. If we can get the server back up. There we go. I think... Oh, I don't think we can. I think I have to... Hang on, let me set myself as admin, because I really want to show you this. You know, this is the source code that kind of set everything into motion. So let me just set myself as admin so I can show you a little bit more. I think 4 was the top one. So yeah, I want to show you a bit more of this engine. Because after Confuse, you can... The next engine I'm going to show you, if I've got it, which I think I have, is just, you know, it's just insane. It really is. But we'll get to that. Alright. Cool. So now I am an admin. So I'm just going to load up the map real quick. Oh, look at these old tiles. So many memories. So many memories. Absolutely terrible. I don't know why anyone would use these. But there we go. Yeah, this was kind of like... This is what everyone was using. Horrible. I'm trying to find a good grass tile. I guess we'll just use that one. Alright, so we'll fill the ground layer. I think we should put a tree. Ah, yeah, there's no drag. You got to do every tile one by one. I'm not doing that. Forget that. I don't have time. Is there a small tree we can use? I don't know. They're all big trees, aren't they? I'm not using them. They don't match. We'll just send that. Let's go to properties real quick. See if we can... Yeah, that's that lag again. Waiting. 'Cause it has to load. It has to load the NPC list, which we don't have any of anyway, and the music as well. We'll save that for now. There we go. Look at that. Yes. So it's so So Confuse was the first to have this scrolling maps feature, which was insane, because every previous versions of Mirage Source, and I still consider this Mirage Source just because it's called Confuse and it was coded by somebody else, the foundation is Mirage Source. You know, it's a community effort to develop this engine. But yeah, so previous versions that we've seen, they were all fixed map sizes and much smaller than this. So this had a larger game screen and the maps were scrollable, which was a game changer. But yeah, we had scrollable inventory. What's this special? Oh, spells. Okay, so we've got spells. We've got an online list. You can open the shop from here, train stats. Look at these options now. We've got music, sound, speech bubbles. Let's type something. Hello, Mirage Engine. Woo! Look at that. How cool is that? We can turn player names on and off. This is just insane. And then we've got the HP bars under the player. It's just really cool. Really, really cool. Got an equipment. Guilds. You are not in a guild. So yeah, just some really, really cool stuff. So props to God Sent Death. Because people like him, really excelled the Mirage Source community, and without people like him, it would have kind of gone stale. If without people releasing these source codes, it would have been the same old Mirage 3.0.3, and that got old and outdated extremely fast. But we had people like GSD and Pingu, Robin Paris, Verigan, William, JC, all these guys who were taking Mirage Source and taking it to the next level, and that's why the community lasted so long as it did, even though it was split off into separate communities. Mirage Source still existed, and it's because of those people that it still existed. But yeah, really cool stuff. So this was kind of like the first breakthrough that the community had, and it only grew bigger from there. So yeah, so that was Confuse. Really cool stuff. Takes me back. Elysium. Now this is going to be interesting. Very, very interesting. Elysium kind of, as much as a game changer Confuse was, a lot of Confuse was, like I said, it was dressed up, but a lot of the features, a lot of the basic character stuff and whatnot was more or less the same as Mirage Source. But Elysium, and as you can see, there was a lot of source codes, but we're going to look at one in particular, which is Elysium Diamond. And this was something else. It really was. I think it looks like we already have an EXE. So if I have an EXE on here, I'll just use that. We'll look at the code in a second. In fact, you know what? We'll look at the code now, because there's some really cool stuff in here. This might take me a while to go through. But yeah. Elysium Diamond, wow. So Elysium was built from Confuse, directly from Confuse. So when you look at the older versions of Elysium, it's using like the same interface and stuff. So we'll just check out the server first. You know, again, there's not really much going on here. They had they called it SAD script. It was basically just Visual Basic in a in a text file, because like I said, originally Confuse was closed source, so if you wanted to make any significant changes, you could edit this script here, and this would just be injected into the server code when the server ran. So there was a few things you could change. Yeah, you could change some formulas and stuff, and it was kind of cool because it meant that even though the engine wasn't, the source code wasn't accessible, you could still do a lot with the scripting, which was kind of cool. But obviously they released the source code anyway. But yeah, the server doesn't look like much, but there's a lot going on in here, I can tell you that now. It's been a very, very long time since I've opened up Elysium Diamond, but yeah. I'll just take a look at the server right now. Yeah, there's a lot going on here. See if we can run the server. Hopefully we can run this without any errors, because this was massive. Oh yeah, that's right, it runs in the taskbar, doesn't it? And you can't open it. Yeah. No worries. It's running, so that's fine. I'm gonna recompile this. I don't trust running that exe. Just wait for that to compile. This may take a while, longer than the Confused one, if it does compile. Because there was some insane stuff. Let's just go to the client folder here. I wonder what's in the extras folder. You're probably wondering that too. Tools. Okay. PSDs. Oh, I think that's just for the... maybe for some of the interface stuff. Icons. Yeah. Documentation. Did it compile? Oh, it's right in the exe now, that's good. Oh, yes it is. Alright. We're good. We'll close this. In fact, no we won't. We'll go through some of this first. Alright, so I think Confuse also had this. The admin panel. I'm pretty sure it did. Maybe not as much on it as this one. But yeah, so the admin panel allowed you to open up any of the editors, set access, kick and ban people, and etc, etc, etc. The arena was the arena attribute, like I explained in Confused, where you could attack other players without losing gold or experience or anything like that. Or block class, yeah, the block class attribute, very handy. So yeah, so this is Elysium Diamond's interface. Not so much change there from the character. Again, they're still using separate forms. But yeah. So Elysium Diamond had, I don't know if Confused had projectiles, but Elysium Diamond had projectiles. I think this is, yeah, it's a script editor. We had the emoticons in Elysium Diamond. Had that same old flash thing from Confuse. So you will notice some things in here as well are unchanged from Confuse, let's say. So this is the new item editor, and this is just insane. There was a lot more flexibility, a lot more stuff you could do with items. The map editor, as you can see, very, very different. I think feature-wise it was pretty much the same. I don't think there was any significant difference in attributes or anything like that, but it was made to look a bit better. More like a map editor. Map properties not changed much. I think the NPC is a set spawn point. Okay, that was different, yep. This is the main interface. As you can see, there's a lot going on, and you could drag these as well. I think if we double click them, yeah, so mouse down, a basic movement code, but it worked. You basically just move in the picture boxes, because that's what these are, they're just picture boxes. But yeah, so definitely a different interface. Rather than having everything on the screen, you could close stuff and it would pop up and whatnot. Still had that same inventory from Confuse. Again, the character stuff is very much still the same. Shop editor, more or less the same as Confuse, pretty much unchanged. So this is cool. So we had NPC speech, which I think worked in I don't know if it worked as a quest system, maybe, or it was just like a conversation system, like for getting information from NPCs. Maybe it was just that. I don't think they had a quest system in Elysium. Yeah, it's a spell editor. Much more going on here. So, alright, so let's see if we can load it then. So one of the cool things about Elysium Diamond is I think that the map editor was updated significantly. I don't think it's going to let me drag forms here. You may have to give me a second. So I think the map editor was different in that you could drag multiple tiles and place them at the same time, and also they had dynamically sizable sprites, so you could have any size sprites and the code would adjust accordingly. I think that was the case with Elysium Diamond. Oh, is there already an account? Oh, there's already an account. Okay, cool. Let's see if I can drag this form. I should be able to. So here we are. Big change on the interface. Everything is pop-upable and closable. You can have whatever you want showing, which I think is a nice feature, and you can put it wherever you want, which is cool. So I think I'm an admin here. What's in the options? Let's see. Map editor. No, so no drag, I don't think. Oh yes, there is. So you hold shift. I wonder if Confuse had that, where you hold shift. I don't know if this was just from Elysium. I think the other thing that Elysium may have had, did they have auto tiles? I don't think it did. I don't think Elysium had auto tiles. Map properties. Same as Confuse, yeah. Alright, let's lay down some grass. Cool. Ah yes, the old light system. Now this was interesting, because it was like in MRPG where they had the where we had a similar thing, where we didn't really have, we just had these graphics and they would alpha blend when it was nighttime. I don't even know how to oh, there it is. So yeah, so that's what nighttime looked like. It was basically like this blue layer, and then it would use certain shades from white to black would be the alpha blending kind of thing. So the more white, the more transparent, I guess. But yeah, that was how we did it back then. But yeah, this is Elysium, and I don't think they have. I don't think they have any sprites on here that you could test to show the dynamic sprite sizes. I think this is all just like the normal stuff, maybe. Yeah. Super Mario, that's cool. But yeah, this was so this engine came with RPG Maker XP graphics. So at this point, the Mirage Source community was probably at its peak, I would say. So everywhere you looked, you know, for 2D online games, it was just RPG Maker XP graphics using Elysium Diamond. But yeah, as crappy and slow and buggy as this engine was, you know, there was some really cool things. Lots of inspiration to be had from this engine. It definitely had a lot to offer back then in those days. Because bearing in mind, this is, you know, the early 2000s, and if you wanted a game engine, you had to pay a lot of money for it, and we were all so young. So this is what we had at the time, and it was fun and really enjoyable, and you got to learn programming as well. So yeah, so that is MS 3.0.3, 3.0.7, and a couple of the older Consti's source codes. We've looked at Confuse, and we've looked at Elysium, and that's going to do it for this video, because from Elysium we actually go backwards, and you have to go backwards sometimes to go forwards. So in the next video we're going to look at MSE 1 and MSE 2, which I don't have on here, but I will have when I show you. And before I show you that, I'm maybe going to show you these two. Maybe. Which are a little bit special. There's a story behind them, but I'm not going to go into that. But this is I'm just going to show you a couple of things that were capable with these engines back in the day. But yeah, that's it for now, and I'll be back in the next video to show you more of these Mirage Source engines. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.